Hi kids, today you're responsible for taking notes on heat transfer. And our question for today is, how does heat move from place to place and object to object? So by the end of today's lesson or notes, you should be able to explain how heat transfers from object to object and place to place. Make sure you put your name, today's date, your period number. Your 3 questions are going to go on the side over here, and then you're going to have your reflection at the end. So there are 3 types of three ways heat moves. And we're going to talk about those. The first one is convection. And we've talked about convection already this week, so you should already know. And that is the movement of fluids or gases. So heat transfer occurs through the movement of like liquid, which is a fluid. I'm just going to put liquid because you guys know what that is. Or gases. And gases could be like air. And we're going to talk about what states of matter can actually have heat transfer through convection. So the states of matter would be liquid or gas, and some examples would be heater or boiling water, and another example would be air currents. And we're going to draw a quick little picture to help us remember that. So if I have a pot of water, I'm going to pretend this is like a see-through pot of water. What happens is you have hot and cold water, and I'm going to use blue and red arrows to help you understand this. The hot water moves up because heat rises, and the cold water goes down because cold water drops. So it's the same thing with air currents. We have a cold front moving in, right? We have hot air right here. And it's going to go this way. And it's going to move because hot always rises. So always remember heat rises. That's how I remember. Heat rises. Okay, the second thing we're going to talk about is radiation. Let me get the right pen, sorry. And radiation is when heat goes through electromagnetic waves. So the sun, microwave, and we're going to give you some examples. So states of matter that this occurs in is gas. So radiation is usually only like for air and gas. And an example could be the sun warming your face, or toasting or roasting a marshmallow. And I will draw pictures to help you remember those. And I expect you guys to draw pictures too because it helps you remember what's happening. So if we have a little fire here, all right, and we'll use like orange and red for our flames. I've got my little fire, right? And then we got our marshmallow on the stick. So here's my little stick, my marshmallow. right? And it starts to get brown from the radiant heat off of that fire. And if it touches it, then it burns, right? That's different. Okay, and then we also have the sunlight that comes and hits your face. So we're going to draw a little picture of the sun. And I'll draw a little picture of somebody. We'll just do a little quick one. You can draw it yourself. There. And that reminds you of that. And then the last and third type is conduction. And that's probably the one you're most familiar with. And this is when two objects are touching. So the state of matter would be solids. So for example, you could have a pot on the stove and the metal spoon is in the pot. And you go to touch the spoon after it's been sitting there and it's really hot. So my son last night, we were making some thing, maybe it was gravy or something, and he was using a metal whisk and he's like, remind me not to leave the metal whisk in the gravy because it gets hot. And I was like, oh, conduction, heat transfer. And he started laughing. He's like, you're such a science teacher. But exactly what it is. And then the other one is always like warming your feet in the sand on a hot beach. So if you walked across concrete, the parking lot, any of those things, it's the same thing. So I'm going to draw a picture of a pot, and you got your spoon in it, right? And the water or whatever's in the pot is going to make it hot. That spoon's going to get hot because it's touching something hot. When you touch the hot metal doors or railings at school, that is also conduction. Then we have our sand. You can have your little foot. I'm not very good at drawing feet, so we'll just do a little footprint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes. And we have our sand, and your foot gets warm in the sand, right? So your job now is to write your reflection. 3 to 4 sentences explaining our question, how does heat move from place to place and object to object? And ask your 3 questions on the side here. Make sure when you ask 3 questions that they're higher level, and if you need help with those, you can always ask me, but I don't want just what is convection. Those are easy questions. I want you to think outside the box and come up with some harder, higher level questioning, okay? I think you guys can do this. Sorry. So make sure you add your 3 questions and your reflection to the end of these notes, then take a picture of it and turn it into Classroom.